Yes, sir! I've not made a video in almost 2 weeks and it feels like even longer, but now we're back on the grind. I want to start by giving a huge thank you to everyone who left a thumbs up and a comment on my last video that I worked really hard on. The video is smashing, and seeing that putting in the extra work for a video ends up being worth it is really motivating, so thank you for that. In this video we're going toxic and playing on the advanced map Spillway on Impoppable mode, and the twist here is that we will only be allowed to use the center toxic barrel and the surrounding water. Any of the 4 spaces outside is off limits, and the goal of course is not to just beat the standard 100 rounds but a total of 300 rounds. For this challenge I'm using Ezili as my hero, and that's despite the fact that we won't be able to use her totem because we only have 1 life and the ability drains lives. But her hex ability will be super useful and make up for it. Using Geraldo for this challenge would not be very useful because just like the time when we played on Bloody Puddles, we won't be able to place Geraldo until we have a carrier flagship, and that takes a while, causing the Quincy action figure to end up not generating pretty much any money whatsoever. Opening the side sub so that the water towers can see inside the loop costs $2,000 per side, so we have no option but to start by placing a tower in the center, which I chose a ninja for. Just in time for the lead balloons on round 28, we get the hotshot upgrade for the buccaneer to help out the ninja. This boat will become our trade empire. We will get working on the carrier flagship on the other side, since that will yield the best positions for the platforms on top of the carrier flagship. In the bottom water we will get the pirate lord, and we also placed a top path sub just behind the carrier flagship, and we will fill the rest of the water with more merchantmen. Now we can place down an absolute zero on top of the carrier flagship to freeze nearby water and put down even more ice monkeys to freeze even more of it. We get an elite sniper and a spirit of the forest for more cash generation, and we will also be using the pirate lord's hooking ability for the extra cash, and the absolute zero ability to help us out if we get into trouble. After placing down some more ice monkeys, we get the grand sabo right next to the carrier flagship. This will be the only tower farming pops for our ninja paragon, as we will sell the middle ninja and get a Superbrittle there instead. This will be great, since not only will it yield us more damage but also decamo DDTs. We will place down Ezili and a MOAB domination boomerang on top of the carrier flagship and then survive as long as we can. The next goal is to survive long enough for us to be able to afford the Navarch paragon while also farming pops for our ninja and our boomerang. Since we placed Ezili so late, she won't be able to reach level 20 until the round after 119, but we still managed to deal with the bads with the defense that we had. On round 148, we can't survive with this setup any longer, but luckily we just managed to save up enough money for the Navarch if we sell the Superbrittle, and we get ourselves a degree 72. Now our defense should be good enough for a while longer, so we can get back to farming more money and pops for more paragons. Once we have the carrier flagship back up, we get started farming pops for the engineer as well with an XXXL trap. We also place down a special operations heli that will be used later to create an ice platform on the bottom water, and it can also be used for its cash generating ability. And by the way, I've seen people comment in the past asking if all towers really are on the water in challenges like this. And yes, if you place a tower on the water, there will be a visual ice platform under the tower indicating that it is on water. In cases like the helipad, which is too big to notice if the tower is on water or not, I try to sell the ice platform to see if the heli gets sold too or not. If it gets sold, it was placed on water, and I can back out and into the game again and place down the heli in the same spot now that I know it's on water. After we had saved up a bunch of money using the boats, we used the special operations heli to create more ice platforms, and now our farming strategy is gonna change a bit. We got a banana central at the bottom and a monkey wall street up top. And then we get an Ultraboost under the carrier flagship and an overclock right next to the wall streets, and we will use these to maximize the output from the farms. I also had to move where I had the elite sniper and the spirit of the forest to be able to fit the farm. Things really are a lot more expensive on Impoppable mode, so we're gonna need a lot of cash to fill up the space we have with good towers. On round 218 we get a degree 70 ninja paragon on the right platform of the carrier, and then on the same round a degree 69 NG paragon on the left platform, which is also the place where I'm gonna put down all of the mega sentries. We get the Grand Sabo back in the same spot to help us survive longer as we continue to farm more money, as now we're down to just pennies once again. But thankfully, this setup was strong enough to survive very long. From round 218 to round 251 we skip, as now we'll get a degree 43 Glaive dominus on the Navarch and get the Superbrittle back in the center. It would have been pretty sick if we could have had the Glaive dominus in the center of the map with its orbiting glaives, but unfortunately only very small towers can fit there. Despite having the Glaive dominus now, round 251 was very tough, but we made it through. And now the question is, what do we save up for next? I was unsure if it was even possible to create a VTSG now that a lot of the space is already taken up by other towers, but it was actually doable. We placed down the Super Monkey in the top left corner without upgrading its range, so it just barely doesn't reach the Ice Monkeys. This way we can get the temple and keep the ice platform for sacrifices for the VTSG, and the Ice Monkeys themselves, plus the Crossbow Master, will be used as the primary sacrifices. And we can fit the Legend of the Night and the anti-bloon on the bottom ice platform, and this way we managed to fit a VTSG into the mix. As we continue, we save up money for a special operations heli that we will place on the bottom ice platform along with another ice monkey that we can use to create a new ice platform right next to the VTSG. And now all we need is some more money to buy all the final towers and upgrades for our Impoppable challenge setup. The main towers we're looking for is Homeland defense, Call to Arms, a Permabrew, and all the debuffs like Cripple MOAB, Snowstorm, Superbrittle, and Embrittlement. I also want to get super mines and an overclock. After I've ultra boosted the VTSG with 10 stacks, I'll use the overclock on it instead, while I give some ultra boost stacks to some other towers as well. At this point, the rounds are getting tougher very quickly, and we don't have a lot of space left for farming, so getting the Apex Plasma Master would have been hard, and if we wanted to get the Doomship Paragon, we would have needed to have done that before getting the VTSG because of space issues, and we would not have been able to afford both of them in this run, so the final spaces will be filled up with some cheaper tier 5 towers instead. The late 280s are really tough, and the abilities needs to be timed well. Unfortunately, round 290 was too hard to complete with this setup, and one of the things that makes it so hard is that the targeting seems to be messed up on this map. If there are 2 fortified bads on the screen and Ezili is set to strong, her Hex ability should target the fortified bad that is the furthest along the track, but often that is not the case on this map, which makes it a lot harder. So round 290 is where I called it quits, but this was just my first attempt, and with some optimizations I'm sure that you can get that nice round 300 even in this challenge. So if you like late game challenges, I can definitely recommend this Impoppable one because I enjoyed it a lot. If you enjoyed it too, leave a thumbs up and check out my other late game challenges, as I'm sure you will enjoy them too, and I'll see you next time.